There's a moment alone when the noise finally stops and something bigger than your to-do list is suddenly very quiet and very present in that moment, just in that moment. Maybe it's 5 a.m. before the house wakes up, or maybe it's just a deep loving moment patting the four-legged mate. Maybe it's a drive home in the dark after a long shift, the radio's off, nobody's talking. Maybe it's standing at the back fence at a night for no reason at all, just looking at nothing in particular, just in that moment. You don't call it spiritual. You probably don't call it anything. You just know something in you goes quiet for about 90 seconds. Where you're not a job title, a role, a to-do list. You're just a guy standing there breathing, taking in the moment, just chilling for a couple of minutes. That moment has a name. You've been having it in your whole life, but you've never once put a word to it. We do get them, we blokes, seriously. A guy told me once, he's a big practical, not what you'd call a spiritual guy by his own description. What's that? That the only time he ever feels right, he said, is he's standing waist deep in the surf before anybody else is on the beach, just in that moment. And that's no church, that's no meditation app, nothing he'd ever call religion, just the water, the quiet, and him. He said it was like confessing something, like it wasn't allowed to count, this moment. But you know what? It does count. That's not nothing. That's a guy going for a swim or a surf. And sometimes when we're in those moments, we can get into what's called a flow. Great place. That's a man having the exact experience every tradition on the earth has tried to describe it in its own language. The sense of being small inside something much bigger than himself. And for once, being okay with that. Just that once, be okay with it. He's never had permission to call it what it was. Women don't do that. That's a moment, just in that moment there's a nothingness, a peace. So let's actually name it, because it's the pillar that gets skipped the most in this world, and it's one that this whole channel is named after. Spirit warrior isn't about religion. It never has been. It's about the part of a man that exists underneath every role he plays. The father, the provider, the mate, the coach, the employee. The part that's there before any of those titles got handed to him, and will be there after every one of them ends. It's our deep essence. For me, it's the depth of our heart, that essence, our spirit essence. For most of us guys, that essence that part of us doesn't get accessed through a church pew or a yoga mat. It gets accessed exactly the way we guys find it, generally by accident, or in the quiet, when the performing stops for a minute. The ocean at dawn, a ute on the back road, or the bushwalks in nature. The 2 minutes before everyone else wakes. You know those moments? We find those moments. When we're at nature and we're sitting at a little campfire, what are we doing? We're just mesmerized by the coals. That's the moments I'm talking about. Spiritual or spirituality isn't the fifth thing bolted onto the physical, mental, emotional at all. It's what's underneath all these three. The part of you that's still there when the body's tired, when the mind's quiet, and the body needs something from you. But we're not that good at giving that something to ourselves from this space. That's our learning. A lot of men watching this haven't had one of those quiet moments in a long time. Not because they're not available, because the moment arrives and it gets filled immediately. The phone comes out, the radio goes on, something needs doing as our 2 + 2 mind immediately gets switched on. Got to fix, problem solve. Here's what that actually costs. It costs you one reliable place. You get to just be a person instead of a function. It costs you perspective, because a life filled entirely inside roles start to feel like it's all that there is. And when a role gets threatened, it feels like that the whole self is under threat with it. Our whole self, our sense of identity is aligned to our roles, but really, there's that sense of your spirit essence in that deep inside yourself is underneath all this. And you know, it costs you. That exact kind of quiet lets everything, the physical tension, the harsh inner voice, the feelings you've been filing away for years, actually settle enough to be noticed. The quiet is an empty time. It's the one place the rest of this work has room to land. So here's the invitation. And it's not meditation, and it's not church, it's not woohoo. This week, find a moment that's already there. You already have one, you just feel it before you can start. Those moments. The first 60 seconds after you wake up, the walk to the car from the front door, the last light switch before bed. Don't reach for the phone. Pause, stop. Stand in it. You know, the next time you pat your dog, be deeply present in it. Be in the moment. And guess what? Your dog will love you for it. And I want you to just notice the feeling, notice the space as it, what is it touching you when you're patting your dog? Notice that space. Pause in that space, be with that space just for a few minutes. That's not doing nothing. That's the one moment in your week where nothing's required of you, and noticing that on purpose is the whole practice. Find the quiet, don't feel it. You know, years ago in my holotrophic breathwork training, Tav used to say, doing, not doing. That's the nothing, doing, not doing. That quiet moment you've been having your whole life and never named, that's not nothing, and it's not new age, and it's not owned by any religion to be real. It's yours. It always was and always will be. You just never called it what it is. And now how do you practice accessing it more often in your lives? Practice makes perfect. Remember the moments you're with your dog. Just feel into that space. Just hold memory of that, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How do you practice coming back to that? What do you need to learn to let go of to have that? Feel it to heal it. Be gentle.